For the 2026 and 2027 soccer season, U.S. Soccer has mandated a change in the way that age group teams are formed. So previously, any player who was born from January to December of the same year would be on the same age group team. This would mean third and fourth graders playing together, fifth and sixth graders playing together, etc. Now, based on the new U.S. Soccer mandate, the birthdays for age group teams have changed. So the change in birthday will now be from August 1st of that year to July 31st of the following year. The reason for this change is to more closely align players with their grade year peers. So now instead of playing with players from different grades, players will be playing with players of their all same grade. Another reason for this change is to eliminate the trapped players. So in the previous system, we would have 8th graders playing with 9th graders. When 9th graders would go to play high school soccer in the spring, the 8th graders now would have to try to find a team to play with and get trainings and get games that wasn't their actual team they played with in the fall. Similarly, if a player is a junior playing with seniors, when all the seniors graduate, now those players have to play with a brand new team for their last year of club soccer. Although we know that change can be scary and hard and might bring up some questions or concerns, us at Colorado Edge are here every step of the way. We've done a lot of work behind the scenes to make this transition as smooth as possible, and we are extremely lucky to be a part of a club that has many members and many players at all levels and all age groups. So we are not concerned with any team formations or anything like that. We have plenty of players to form these teams at all levels. The players who will be mostly impacted, as I spoke about earlier, will be those players who are quote unquote young for their team. So if your player is that 3rd grader playing with 4th graders, etc., based on their birthday, you may be staying at that same U10, etc. level to align with your grade year peers. So if I'm a 3rd grader playing with 4th graders, I may have to stay and play the same U10 one more year so that now I'm on a team with my grade year peers. We know that even if your player is not that young player, it's still difficult to have half your team switch or have a friend leave your team or a new coach. And we are here to help form new relationships, help form new teams. And we are confident that we will do what's best for your players' development. And we are here every step of the way. We at Colorado Edge understand that with player placement and a new tryout season, there's a lot of stress and anxiety and nervous emotions, both from players and families on how players will be placed for the upcoming fall. We wanted to assure you that player evaluation is not just something that happens at tryouts, but is also a season-long and a year-long collaboration between the Colorado Edge staff, between our amazing coaches, and we, throughout the year, observe your player in different environments. We come out to trainings, we come out to games, we collaborate with your coaches on their development, as well as implementing these new in-house tryouts. So the reason for these new in-house tryouts is based on the age group change. We wanted to give players the opportunity to meet and play with potential new players that they might not have the chance to because maybe those players moved into the age group based on the change, or maybe your player moved to a different age group based on the change. And we want them to feel comfortable in meeting and learning and playing with potential new teammates, as well as us as a staff and the coaches want to see your player in that new environment around different players, get to know them a little more as players and as people, as well as have them meet new coaches, etc. So with the addition of these in-house tryouts and our in-house and out-of-house tryouts that will be at the end of spring, we believe that these 5 dates, as well as observing your player throughout the entire year, collaborating with their coach, will give us the best view of your player and where their placement should be based on their development. Every decision we make based on a player's placement, based on team formation, is for their ultimate development. We want to make sure we place them on an appropriate team where they will continue to develop and learn at the correct place and stage. Now, I do want to speak about players who maybe are in a unique situation. So, for example, let's say a player is in 7th grade, but they have a quote-unquote young birthday. So their birthday would allow them to play with the 6th grade team, but they're in 7th grade. With players like this, it is the club's decision that we are going to have that player play with their grade year. So the whole reason for the U.S. soccer mandate was to align players with their grade year. So if there is a young birthday, you will play with your grade year peers, because there's no reason for us to have one player be in a different grade than the rest of their players just based on them having a young birthday. So this is the club's philosophy based on those players. And moving forward, every other decision will be based first and foremost on that player's development. This is going to be a positive change for players and families due to the fact that now their players will get to play with their grade year peers. For example, they'll get to play with their classmates, they'll get to play with their same grade level peers at different schools. As well as it will reduce the amount of trapped players. So this will be extremely positive for families who might have to figure out those tricky spring seasons if they were a trapped player, but now we'll have the opportunity to play on the same team or with the same group of peers throughout their entire soccer experience. So they won't have to switch based on playing with different grades or different school schedules. Now this will more closely align to your players' peers and your families that you are close with based on school activities, etc. We are super excited to see all these new relationships form. With this U.S. soccer mandate, there are way more positive changes than there will be negative changes, but I did want to discuss one potential, not necessarily negative, but situation for families to be aware of in case your child is the unique one out of hundreds of children that this may apply to. Now, if a player was potentially held back due to school development, due to any array of factors, this will be a difficult change because it will not align their birthday with their grade. So for the majority of people, they fall within that August 1st to July 31st birthday switch, or they may have a quote-unquote young birthday, like I spoke about previously, so we will be keeping them with their grade level peers. Now, For the players who were potentially held back, you would have an older birthday than the people in your grade. So for example, if you got held back in kindergarten, now your birthday would not align you with your grade level peers. It would align you with the grade above. Now, unfortunately, at the moment, there are no exceptions to this birthday rule. So let's say you're a 7th grader, but your birthday puts you in the 8th grade age group year based on the new US soccer mandate. You would have to play with the 8th grade team as a 7th grader. Now, this is still a relatively new US soccer mandate, obviously, and this will be our first season in the fall following these guidelines. So we are confident that as the mandate continues to develop and as a couple seasons go by, that hopefully US soccer and other state organizations can kind of give us some more strict guidelines on how we can handle these individuals. But at the moment, we at Colorado Edge are continued to focus on your players' development, regardless of if they are one of these unique situations or not. We are still here to place your player in the correct environment within the US soccer mandate guidelines that is right for their development. So we will still be here to help develop your player and help make sure they have all opportunities that are appropriate for them. Overall, the biggest impact to your children or your club teams will just be the movement of players. So you may have a couple players that move away from your team. You may have a couple players that move into the age group. But again, we are confident that we will place every player in the age group in the right place for their development. So although your team might have a couple new players or have a couple players stay back, etc., we think that this will be an overall positive impact for your children and for your team, because now your team will be playing with their grade year peers. So even if there's a little bit of movement of players, now it'll align closer to their school grade year and have an overall positive impact, even if the change is a little bit difficult upfront. But again, that's why we're here to help with the transition, help smooth the change, help your children, your families, your teams feel comfortable. And we're really excited to see how the teams and players feel and form and perform and develop over this next fall and spring now that they are playing with their grade level peers. So, as previously discussed, every decision we will make on a player's placement will be based on their development first. In regard to playing up or playing down, we don't necessarily like to use those terms. We as a club are gonna pretty hard and fast stick to those August 1st to July 31st birth dates based on age formation. Now, as I previously said, we want to keep players with their grade year peers, and that's the reason that US soccer kind of made this mandate in the first place. So if your player has a young birthday, but they are in the age group above, we will make an exception to have them play with their grade year peers. So the example I used previously was if your player is a 7th grader with a younger birthday and they could play with the 6th graders, we at Colorado Edge think it would be best for their development and their future soccer career for them to play with their grade peers. So they would play with the 7th graders, their grade year peers there. We are in a better position to manage this age year realignment or age group change than other clubs, because we are fortunate to have a very deep player and member pool of amazing families at every single age group at all levels. So we are not worried about any teams not forming or anything like that, because we have such a large player pool. And even with the movement of players maybe staying in an age group or moving to a different age group, we have enough players and enough families to form all of these teams, just as previously with the old age group alignment. As well as we have been extremely proactive during this age group change, and we have been planning and looking at birthdays and teams and how this will impact every individual player, every individual family and team, to make sure we are making the correct decision for your player, for your family, for their development. We have put in so many hours of work behind the scenes, starting in the fall, to make sure that we are prepared for this and that the transition is as smooth as possible. And like I said previously, we have amazing families within the club. We have a ton of fantastic players at all levels, all genders, all ages. So we are extremely confident in our team formations and staying at the correct level for your players' development. The key message that I would like to leave to help reassure parents with this U.S. soccer mandate and the school year alignment is that we at Colorado Edge have always put your child's development at the first and foremost of everything that we do, whether that's player placement, team formation, coach assignments. Everything that we do is to help with your player's development, and that will not change based on this switch to our school year alignment. We at Colorado Edge love the community club feeling, knowing every single player, knowing every single family, close collaboration with coaches. And I think that's something that we do as a club better and different than other clubs in the area. I can guarantee that every staff member, every coach within the age group or the age group that they'll be moving to knows your player and has seen your player play a handful of times. And all we want is what's appropriate and correct for that player's development to help them keep loving the game, finding their passion for it, continuing to develop at a steady rate and take it as far as they want, as well as just help to create amazing little kids, people, members of the community, because you're giving us your players and your children for us to help teach the love of the game. And we want to make sure that we are giving back to the community in the way that we treat the players, in the way that we prioritize their development, in the way that we help develop them not only as players, but also as people. So we at Colorado Edge value you as families, value your players, and will always do what, in our opinion, is best for your players' overall development as a player and as a person.